Hi, everybody. It's Monday morning's devotion. Hope you've had a fantastic weekend, and I hope you're in for a really great week. We've been studying the Lord's Prayer, or probably more accurately, the Disciples' Prayer, Jesus' beautiful pattern for prayer, and we've been going through it statement by statement. Today, I'd like to continue on the statement that we're working on, and we're beginning, in fact, a new statement today, which is the statement that says, "Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil." Now, we've noticed so far that in the Lord's Prayer, there's three statements that refer specifically to God's glory and our role in just submitting to Him because He is who He is. And the second three statements are at our requests. These are things that we ask of God. First thing we ask Him is that He would feed us. The second thing we ask Him, He'd forgive us. And then the third thing we ask Him is that He lead us. Let's talk about what it means to lead us not into temptation. First thing we must notice, it's a corporate prayer. We're all in the same boat. We cannot say one person is tested and tempted and another one is not. We're all in this same boat together. But I think there's a lot of confusion about the actual word that is used here, the word temptation. The word in the Greek is parasmas, which is an interesting word, which actually has sort of almost a threefold meaning. And if you can combine all three, you'll come closer to the truth that they're trying to intend to say. The word parasmas simply means trial, test, and temptation. And somehow there's a link between the trial that leads to a test that ends in the temptation. Now it goes just like that. We've often seen how God tests His creation by putting us through trials. And so trials is something that God allows to happen to develop character, to build strength in ourselves. He's not being mean, He's not being ugly, He's not being vindictive, He's just being God. And He's testing, in a sense, His product by putting us through trials. Now, what you do with that trial will determine whether it becomes a test, and whether you pass or fail the test will determine whether it becomes a temptation. So in a sense, this temptation that we're talking about is very much in your hands. But it is a cry of a few things, and I want to look at those few cries this week. But first of all, let's understand what God is trying to do here and what we're trying to say with the feeble words that we've been given. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Let's talk about trials. I have a trial very often, and that is the trial of hunger. Yes, I get up in the middle of the night and I feel like I need a jam sandwich or something like that. And so it's the trial of hunger. And so then I put myself to the test when I get out of bed, and I go and stand in front of the fridge. And I look at the fridge and I say, I know who the enemy is. He's inside the fridge. And so if I fail the test at that particular point, I open the fridge. That's when it becomes a temptation. It starts as hunger. I stand in front of the fridge. It's now become a test. Am I going to open it or am I going to leave it closed? And then whether I open it or close it is determining whether it's going to become full-on temptation. Kind of like us in life. We need to take that principle, people, and apply it to everyday life. Look at an incident of somebody wrongs you, somebody rips you off, and there's a trial that comes from that. Out of that trial, there's a very real test. What you're going to do with that? You're going to fester. You're going to brood on it. What are you going to do with that test? Because what you do with that test that comes from the trial is going to determine whether it turns into a temptation or not. It could end at the point of it being a test. If you have a good responsibility and you own the test and you respond appropriately, it finishes as a test. But fail the test and the temptation is yet to come. Fail in that case the test of forgiveness and watch what the temptation will be. You see, we've just spoken about forgiveness, so this is a good follow through from that. But when we forgive, the temptation goes away. The temptation for wrath, the temptation for get my own back, the temptation for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. That's when it ultimately becomes the temptation. But if we can, at the point of the test, pass the test and forgive the guy, it never gets to the point of a temptation. And so very much this is in our hands. We see Jesus even owning his own point of temptation, on the Mount of Temptation, 40 days. and Satan comes to him and says, Jesus, you must be seriously hungry. Why don't you, if you were God, why don't you just turn those loaves into bread and you can eat till you're full? Why don't you just do that? And Jesus took that trial, passed the test, quoted a scripture or two, and the test never became a full temptation that Jesus would have had to succumb to. He passed at the point of the test. He saw what this was. He saw it's just a test. Comes out of a trial. It will never fall into that temptation where I've gone past the point of no return. I hope that you'll be able to work this one out today. It can be a little bit confusing, but we'll get there by the end of the week. But have a fantastic day, guys. And thanks for watching our little broadcast here in the mornings. Really appreciate the comments that you send. And although I cannot reply to them, but I do thank you for them. They're awesome. So keep sending them. Thanks very much, guys. Have a great day. Bye.